Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. Today I've got this fun fold card for you. You can see it's not your traditional card fold, and it's made so that it'll stand up. See? It's kind of hard to tell on video the way, the front view, but it stands up, it makes a nice little display, and features this little piggy from Stampin' Up's brand new 2017-2018 catalog. Love this set and the sentiments in it. I just love this. She believed she could, so she did, and I'll be using that a lot to encourage my team. All right, let's see here. Besides this little piggy, I've also used quite a list of dies. I've got my layering circles framelits, and I layered those with the stitched shapes. We're using the largest circle and the largest scallop circle. I've used the lots of labels framelits, and this is the second largest label that we're using. I am in love with this little tag from the wood crate framelits, brand new. I think that I might end up using that tag more than I use any other piece in that set. And then Bloom and Heart Thinlits dies, I'm using this little flower here. I've also got some embellishments. I'm using some linen thread to tie the tag on, and some of the brand new powder pink finely woven ribbon. And then we're also going to use one of these self-adhesive metal rim pearls. I think I used maybe the medium size one, but we'll take a look here. Yeah, there's 3 sizes, and I used one of these little medium ones. Our Stampin' pad for this project is basic gray. We're going to be using watercolor pencils. We'll need aqua painters with those watercolor pencils. And I've got a clear Wink of Stella. For our paper supplies, and you don't have to write down these measurements or where to score or anything else, because there is a free printable project sheet on the blog. In here I have a crumb cake card base that's 11 by 4 1/4. I've got some of the new Delightful Daisy Designer Series paper. This one is 4 by 5 1/4. This one is 4 by 2 1/2. And then I've got the label, second largest, cut from this pattern, and that you should start with about a 3 by 4 1/2 for the label. I also have 2 Whisper White labels, and I die cut a little Whisper White flower. You can get that from 5 1/2 by 4 3/4. I have a crumb cake tag, and there's my crumb cake scallop circle. You need about a 4 by 4 square will get you those 2 shapes. 3 1/4 inch square will get you the stitched watercolor paper, and then just a scrap of the Daffodil Delight for the center of the flower. We're going to punch a 1/4 inch circle out of there. Let me get the Simply Scored scoring tool, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my Simply Scored tool in here, and we're going to score both the crumb cake and one of our Whisper White labels. We've got our crumb cake cardstock, the 11 1/2 inch side in the scoring tool, and we're going to score up 5 1/2 and 8 1/4. And then we're going to drop the little label inside, and we're going to score the little label at about 1/4 inch. Do you see that? Now on that 1/4 inch tab, we're going to go ahead and bend back, and then using a strong adhesive like tear and tape or fast fuse, we're going to cover that tab with adhesive. Now my adhesive goes over the edges, and that's not a big deal. You just don't want it under the score. So peel off the release, and then you can go ahead and just fold in that excess adhesive. Now we're going to take the label that is not scored, and we're going to line those 2 up nice and flat, and then adhere them together. Now we've created that little mechanism for the front of the card that opens and closes. Okay, I've got my bone folder here, and what we're going to do is score in the center to make a card, and then we're going to bring back at that 8¼ inch score. And now you can start to see the mechanics of our standing Z-fold card. Okay, so we've got basic gray ink here and our winged little piggy. We're gonna ink up and stamp that so that our sentiment is across the bottom here, but inside the stitches. Now we also need to stamp our inside at this point. So we're gonna put the sentiment and a couple of little clouds on the inside of our little tag, our label mechanism here. So I'm gonna start with the sentiment. I want it off to the left-hand side. And then I'll add a couple of clouds. And I like how they float kind of off the card. It's more natural and organic that way. So one above the sentiment. And then one kind of low and off the side here. And then over here, one off the edge. Okay, let's color these. I used my watercolor pencils to color Early Espresso, Pacific Point, and Calypso Coral. All right, for my little pig, I'm going to just start to shade around the edges of her. I'll color her legs in, little shadow on her belly, little shadow inside the ear. We'll color the back ear and the snout completely. And then shade down her chest. Then using my aqua painter, make sure it's clean, I'm going to blend out that color from the outside into the center, and don't be afraid to leave just a little white space. And we'll do the same with the hooves. We'll bring the color from the pencil directly to our watercolor paper and color in her hooves brown. I colored them almost solid, so all I'm doing now is softening the lines and kind of blending the color. Now for her wings, I've got a different technique in mind, and we're going to do the same technique for the clouds. I'm going to scribble down some Pacific Point on a scrap of white cardstock, and then I'm going to lift the color from the palette we just created. And I really kind of want to water that down because I don't want her to have necessarily blue wings. I want her wings to look like they have some shadow, like white wings that have some shape. So we'll just wash in a little bit of blue there. And then same with the clouds along the bottom. Just pick up a little bit of the Pacific Point and wash in the bottom of the clouds. It's quite difficult to get the blue out once it's in. It's much easier to add a little bit more, so go lightly, and this method helps to get that soft shadowy effect. All right, the wings were a little heavy, so I just blotted with my finger and it really softened that into more of a blue shadow than blue wings. Now, I've left out her little curly cute tail entirely. So I'm gonna go back with the pencil now and add that detail. Now we can begin assembly. I've got my pink pattern here from Delightful Daisy and a snail adhesive, and we're gonna completely cover the white label on the outside of the card. So you want to be generous with your snail adhesive, going to all the edges and really covering the label piece. Now for the card base, we'll do the same and add our designer series paper with snail adhesive. Let our little piggy dry over there for a minute. inside we've got this kind of Night of Navy denim pattern. And outside we've got our daisies. I love pigs and daisies, pigs and pearls, I don't know. Well, you know what, to save a little bit of ribbon going all the way around the crumb cake, finely woven ribbon, and let's sandwich a little bit around the front of this daisy panel here. So we're gonna cut off about 6 inches and then tack it down about 1/3 of the way down. We can just tack it into the snail adhesive that we've got there on the back already. And then I'll go over with a little bit more snail where the ribbon and the paper meet. That should hold it. Now here with the card closed, you want to make sure that your margins remain pretty straight. And there it is. And now for this little label layer here, we want to get in here with some Fast Fuse. It's a little bit stronger adhesive and it's going to get a little abuse, maybe a little resistance as it's standing and opening. So let's use a strong adhesive for that. Got 3 nice strips. There we go. Lots of Fast Fuse there. Now with the card laying closed on the table, we want to come in and put our little label piece, but we need some extra room on the left hand side for the bow, so it's not going to be exactly centered, and we want the sentiment to show when the card is opened. So I think that that's our placement right there. See how I'm doing it? I'm kind of dry fitting it before I adhere it down. Since we're here, we might as well add our little self-adhesive pearl. It's just a peel and stick, and you add it centered in this label right about the fold. Now I need some dimensionals for my pig layer. First, add our watercolor panel to our crumb cake circle, and then using some dimensionals, we'll add the circle to the label. We have to be careful here, use some caution about where we put our dimensionals because the circle is wider than the label. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 3 right on my label. Okay, so our dimensionals are sticky and we want to center right to left, top to bottom here. She's such a cutie. Okay, I got my ribbon again here, and I'm just going to go right off the roll. And do you notice how I didn't tie any knots? I don't want this to be any more bulky than it has to be. So I don't tie a knot when I add ribbon in this fashion. If I've got this little anchoring piece here, I just slide my ribbon under, and then I fold up on my index finger. Notice how there's no twisting, just fold up, and then you grab that loop between your middle and thumb. Then this piece comes over the top and you make a loop in this space that your middle finger is holding open. And then pull. See, my loops are up, my tails are down. If I hold the center knot, I can adjust my loops, and then I can give it a little finesse. How cute is that? All right, let's trim it from the bolt here, and you'll notice there's absolutely no waste that way either. Okay, the last step is this little tag embellishment here. Let's slide our cards over. We'll get the tag and some crumb cake ink this time. I didn't tell you that one at the beginning because I forgot to grab it. So don't forget your crumb cake pad. I'll put it on the notes. We've got this little image here from this little piggy, and I don't know if it's like little kisses or little hoof prints or what it is, but we are going to just stamp them right across this little tag and give it some interest. Okay, then I've got my Daffodil Delight and a 1/4 inch hole punch, and I don't know if there's still one of these in the clearance bin at Stampin' Up. If there is, pick it up because that's a great price if you don't already have one. But if not, if there's not one in the clearance bin still, I'll go ahead and find an Amazon link for you, because Stampin' Up does not carry a 1/4 inch circle punch anymore. Okay, I've got a mini glue dot, fast way to add the center to this flower. And then we're gonna take a piece of a dimensional. I've got half of one here, and we're gonna add it to the tag with some dimensional adhesive. All right, so I've cut off about 8 inches of linen thread here. I'm gonna fold it in half, and then we're gonna take this loop and bring it through the back of our little tag. And then we'll bring the tails through the loop. All right, so we've got our tag, it's hanging. Then we're going to take one of the linen thread tails and we're gonna run it underneath this bow. See that? You can just lift and poke it through. Then I've left the tails nice and long because you're going to do a thread knot here to tie the tag to the bow. So that's gonna loop around your finger and then tuck the tails through the loop. You get a nice little thread knot there. And then you can trim off the excess. Now, I want my tag to stay in place, so I'm gonna grab a piece of dimensional adhesive and I'm going to tack it down to the card. You can leave it hanging if you want to, but I'd like to have it stay just in place where I want it. All right, and for fun, and because we can, we're gonna grab a little bit of the Wink of Stella clear glitter pen, and we're going to glitter Piggy's wings. And it's just gonna add the softest little bit of sparkle and interest to the outside of the card. If you want to, at this point, you could open up and add just a little bit of that Wink of Stella on the clouds inside too. And there it is. Isn't that cute? That's a standing Z-fold featuring Stampin' Up this little piggy. If you've got any questions about this project, if there's anything that I can do for you to help you stay crafty, email me, marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. If you're looking for the project sheet for this card, you'll find a link in the details below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on the blog, the printable link is always embedded right underneath the video. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Email me if you've got questions.